Hello, I am Chibuike, and in this video we will be learning about paths and targets in Robot Studio. Targets and paths are used when programming robot motions in Robot Studio. A target describes the position, orientation and configuration of a coordinate that the robot could reach. A valid target must contain the following information: the position of the target defined in a work object's coordinate system, the orientation of the target, which is relative to the orientation of the work object. When the robot reaches the target, it will align the orientation of the given tool with the target's orientation. And finally, the configuration specifies how the robot will reach the target. Sometimes there could be one or more configurations or ways in which the robot can reach a target, and you would have to select the right one which is appropriate for the task. A path is a sequence of move instructions that a robot follows. They are used to make the robot move along a sequence of targets. A move instruction consists of a reference to a target, some motion data such as the motion type, speed and zone, a reference to a tool data, and a work object. To understand how paths and targets work, let us create a simple procedure that would get the robot to draw a square on the surface. I will start by defining my home point. Under the layout, I'll select the robot, modify, and joint jog. I would like this to be the home position for my robot. So the first way in which we can create a target is by using the Teach Target button. If we select that, a new target will be created under our selected robot and in our selected work object. I would name that Home, and that will be my first target. However, I want to create 4 other targets, which would be the corners of our square. So I can also create a target by selecting Create Target, and we select the reference frame. I would set this to be the world reference frame, and I'll set the X position to be, let's say, 100 or 150. I'll set Y to be 150. And Z to be 200. You can add that. That will be our force point. You can see it's somewhere over there. I want it to be at the same point, but I want it to just be a little bit further up in the Z axis for our next point. So I'm going to change this to be 250. I'll add that. So there's a second point there. And I'll leave these 2 points for now. So when I'm done, just press create, and it creates this 2 points. On the paths and target, I can rename this to point 1 by double clicking, and point 2. Okay. I'm not too happy with the location of this point, of our second point. So if you would like to change the location of your point, you can right click and select Modify Target. We can offset this to move it forward by a little bit. Let's move it forward along the X axis. You can use this to know your axis. So the red is the X axis. So move it along the X axis by 100 and apply that. And I think that's fine. You can also copy. If you select by holding Shift and clicking on both of them, you can use the Ctrl C to copy it, and you can also paste it if you select that work object. And now I would modify the second one but I'll modify the Y position and I'll make it 300, but on the other side. And this I'll modify as well, and negative 300. Okay, so I'll rename this 0.3, rename that 0.4. So these are 4 targets, and they will be the edges of our rectangle. We've also created one here, which would be our home point. So we can test all our targets to ensure that the robot can get to them by selecting the targets we would like to test, right clicking, and selecting View Robot to Target. So we selected our second point and we told the robot to go to that point, but the robot did not. This is because the orientation of this point has the Z facing upwards, and the robot will literally have to, if I can show this to you, will literally have to move its joint upside down for that to because that is upside down. Z would have to be upside down, but the robot cannot get there. That's why it has refused to go there. But we can fix this by rotating our target the right way around to ensure that our robot can get there. So if we select our first point, modify target, and this time we want to rotate, we'll rotate around the green axis, which is the Y axis, and we'll select 180. Or you can just type in 180 and select your axis here and apply, and it's rotated that by 180. Now let's try again to see if our robot can go to that target. So View Robot to Target, and our robot can get there. So we want to do the same for the remaining 4 targets, but there's a really quick way of doing it. If we copy the orientation of a valid target, we can apply it to all our targets by clicking on the first one, holding shift, click on the last one, right click and select apply orientation, and it will apply the copied orientation. Now we can see that the robot can move to all our targets, including the home target.